Good afternoon, folks. Not the usual video today. I'm actually just squeezing this one in kind of on my lunch hour at work. But this article was sent to me by Job over at the YouTube channel Inappropriate Characters. If you aren't already a subscriber over there, go ahead and throw them a subscribe and check out their content. They had me on, it's RPG Pundit, Venger, and Job. They had me on their monthly show, and it was a real pleasure, a real treat. So, again, thanks to him for putting this on my radar. Yeah, so this is from PBS. Yes, your tax dollars at work. How a new generation of gamers is pushing for inclusivity beyond the table. I think you guys have a pretty good idea of what you're in for here. It starts out talking about just kind of the history, and it's sort of revival thanks to Stranger Things. Also gives you some raw numbers here. According to industry estimates, hobby game sales soared during the pandemic. Not sure what all that includes. Probably board games too. Increasing from 1.6 billion to 2.6 in 2021. Tabletop role-playing games saw a 31% increase in overall sales in 2020. Well, that was then. I don't know if that's going to be the case going forward. Well, we shall see, though. In 2022, D&D alone generated some 100 million to 150 million. I wonder where that money's going. It's certainly not. They're certainly not drawing top tier talent in D&D, as we've seen with some of their recent releases. But it goes on to say, as TTRPGs permeate pop culture through podcasts, live streamed internet shows, and celebrity boosters. Thank God for them, huh? The community surrounding them is becoming more diverse. Probably true, sure. Traditionally seen as a pastime, and here's where the subtle digs start. For white male suburbanites, you can almost see the venom dripping off of the author's tongue, who I am willing to bet was a white male suburbanite who just hates himself. Tabletop gaming has more recently become a platform for minorities and marginalized people to tell their own stories. Well, it was always that. This was never an exclusive thing. Those folks were always, able to come to any table and sit down and play. They're trying to gaslight you into thinking that the D&D table was like 1950s Deep South. Never was. Going on, people of color and women have always been a part of TTRPG culture. That is true, says Stephen Dashiell, a postdoctoral fellow at American University. Very expensive there, I think. I think that's a very expensive school, who specializes in studying male-dominated subcultures. Is that his actual field of study? But actual play shows, the term for tabletop role-playing game performed for audiences, give them more visibility, Dashiell added. No argument there. It's probably not the visibility they want, though, because some of the ones I've seen are just awful, and I will be picking those apart. I think my audience likes the yucks when we're watching some of these folks. I did a live stream recently, a solo one, where I just kind of subjected myself to a Dragonlance live stream, and it was pretty brutal, but it was fun too. It's fun watching people, who are trying to be funny and entertaining, fail miserably. All right, so going on, Abria Langar, I think that's how you pronounce her name, is something of a celebrity game master. Oh, really? Is that the woman in the Dragonlance? I don't know who these people are. Or someone who facilitates TTRPG sessions for players at the table. She's appeared on many popular actual play channels, such as Critical Role and Dimension 20, as well as shows directly sponsored by Wizards, the company that owns D&D. When playing, Langar said she gravitates towards non-human characters like elves and merfolk. Oh boy. Growing up and accultured as quote-unquote other on several axes of identity. Jeez. My brain automatically defaults to that, said Langar, who is black and a member of the alphabet community. Even though it is uncomfortable to be othered constantly. Is that a verb now? It is what I know, and it feels right. There's not the trauma attached to otherization. Was that an adverb now? What is going on here? So it feels like a fun opportunity to play in what if being markedly different came with fun benefits? These people are playing at a time when, D&D has no stigma attached to it at all. Back in the 80s, and somewhat in the early 90s, there was real stigma attached to this. From people who thought it was just plain evil, and they, thought they were doing right by getting you away from it. It also wasn't the coolest thing to do. if you were one of those white suburbanite males, let's just say you didn't put it first on your resume when you were on a date with a woman. Let's just say that. When Langar was new to tabletop gaming, she would often go to a local gaming store to play in community events organized by wizards, but she sometimes felt like an outsider in a space where most players were white men. There it is again. And she made herself feel like that. I guarantee you everybody at that table was probably very thankful, to have a woman at the table. Back in the 90s, my first birthright group was 3 women and 2 men. And it was that way for about 4 years. I didn't really think about it. They were just players, but, I was glad to have a good mix. And I'm sure any group always was and still is, happy to have a mix. Unless, of course, they show up now with multicolored hair and piercings all over. And that is what we call a warning sign. Those were uncurated tables. God, the language these people use. Where things got very monoculture very quickly. Recently, actual plays have been finding port with a new generation of gamers, many of whom come from more diverse backgrounds. Social media allows fans of these shows to form communities and organize meetups where they can play the games they watch. This new guard of hobby geeks are highly aware. I would take issue with that. And if they are not directly BIPOC people, they are allies. Jeez. That's Aaron Trammell. I thought Alan Trammell. He was I believe a shortstop for the Tigers back in the 80s and 90s. Sorry. Double D's old. Assistant professor of informatics at UC. What is informatics? Can you guys tell me in the comments? And by the way, as you're listening to this, go ahead and like the video, please. And subscribe if you like this kind of content. Normally, I am in front of the camera, albeit with a pair of shades and a hat on. But like I said, I just want to bang this one out real quick. Even within these gaming communities, there is some friction. Oh, here we go, guys. Broadside incoming. Old School Renaissance, or OSR, is a gaming movement whose players claim they are against outside politics permeating their game space. Damn right. These players support the use of traditional fantasy tropes in game design. Oh, you mean the kind that people love? Right on down from Lord of the Rings, even into Game of Thrones. Even though they, subverted some of them, they still paid homage to quite a few. Such as the existence of good and evil races with no nuance. OSR gamers are often seen as the old guard of tabletop gaming and tend to idealize the past. And why not? It was better. Which defaults to a white, masculine worldview. Oh my God, white and masculine? Will we ever survive? Created in the 70s, D&D is one of the first and most prominent TTRPGs, Dashel said. And race has been key in character design. I do like that name, Dashel. Dashel Hammett. Anyway. Players create their... I think this is just telling you what D&D is all about. It has a tradition of promoting, oh boy, I found this funny, humans as the best or most versatile characters. Gary Gygax, the creator, was self-described biological determinist. He believed that Different races of people were biologically distinct and capable of different things in life. Well, I don't know. This can be seen in early D&D with non-humans or demi-humans having level caps, said Trammell. That means that in earlier editions of the rules, non-human characters could never achieve the same degree of growth as human characters. They also had advantages, too. I noticed they didn't put that in there. They also had quite a few advantages as well. Additionally, orcs were created as a group of bestial humanoids with the sole purpose of being killed by players. Damn straight. This classic evil race could not be chosen by players for their characters until 1993. Works of Tolkien are credited as an inspiration for D&D, of course, within the Game Zone Appendix N. Blah, 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 blah. Over the years and through subsequent editions of the game, these racial allusions have been generally minimized. In the summer of 2020, amid a reckoning on race and inclusion, and Marxism, throughout the industries, Wizards released a statement outlining steps it was taking to help everyone feel at home around the game table. This is already going on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But for every 2 steps forward, they take 1 step back, Trammell said, citing a recent publication's inclusion of a simian race of humanoid, reminiscent of old minstrel shows. Of course, those are our old friends, the Hadozi, which I and many others have covered. Just look back in my videos if you want to see my Hadozi video. It's okay. Wizards also recently presented a new vernacular for the upcoming rules changes to the game, replacing instances of race with species. And I have tackled that too recently. In fact, maybe I'll throw a card at the end so you can see those videos, as that might apply best here. At best, I think this is an earnest appeal to fans that Wizards of the Coast is taking the representation of race seriously in its games. But at its worst, I really think that this may quash some of the important dialogue that's happening around the topic within fan communities. The problem never was that race was a concept in fantasy worlds. Instead, it's been that fantasy worlds are the product of any number of white supremacist tropes that mirror those in our own. PBS, folks, your tax dollars at work. If you're voting for the party that's giving money to this, maybe rethink that, huh? The issue was never really race, but essentialism, Daschle agreed. And essentialism is baked into the system of D&D. I think many people would consider it a completely different game, as race species give advantages and disadvantages. There needs to be a check and balance system for parody, consistency, and fun. It's funny, though, the game that everybody fell in love with was not like this. But now that they're here, they want to make it different. Some game systems outside of D&D are doing away with race. And of course they are, because they're cowards. Other systems are engaging in stories and worlds with non-white, non-Eurocentric designs, and that's absolutely fine. I might even, who knows, I might even look into or play those. But, if I saw a bunch of white people, in an African game, I would rightfully be scratching my head going, this doesn't seem right. The same way, other races appearing in historical games, would not be appropriate. Monty Cook, our old friend, owner of Monty Cook Games and a former D&D designer, developed a setting-agnostic game system, meaning it can be used to tell stories in many different genres. Whoa! That is amazing. Somebody should have done that in the past. Good Lord. A distinguishing feature is that players can create characters without needing to consider race or species for mechanical perks. And again, I think that's been around for a while as well. Race and class are pre-made buckets that you fill. Buckets of gruel, I say. Buckets of pig slop. By focusing on who your characters are, gives players more control. While there are no in-game mechanical benefits to choosing a particular race, Monty Cook Games strives to encourage diversity through artwork. The artwork they commission tries to be inclusive by showing women in the Wild West or children of color exploring a haunted house, being used as props. If you're touting that, you're using them as props, and that's, I suppose that's something you're going to have to wrestle with, Monty. Sometimes the art depicts people wearing masks so that players can imagine themselves or their characters in those situations. At first, I was thinking COVID masks, or coof masks, I should say. We want everyone to feel welcome, to feel seen. To feel seen. Parse your words there, Monty. Beyond those who play the games, what's often overlooked is the community of people creating and marketing them. When he started in the business, Cook said all the designers and artists and editors were of similar backgrounds and ethnicities. But he is seeing the cultural change and become more diverse. We want people of all types in the driver's seat. By the way, Monty Cook, proud that he never actually had a real job in his life. Went, I think, straight from school into game design. Deal with the public at a Pizza Hut or a Waffle House, and that'll inform your view of humanity. In that, people, can be good. A lot of people are great, but there are some people, and it really doesn't matter the race or sex. Some people are just terrible, and you can't stop it. One example is Coyote and Crow, a new game focused on telling specifically indigenous stories. Probably very boring, too, I would imagine. The more I wanted to create a setting that didn't have colonialism as part of its structure at all, the more I realized the only way to strip that out of the setting was to create an alternate future where colonization never happened, said Connor Alexander, creator of Coyote and Crow, which has a First Nations setting and theme. All right, more about Coyote and Crow, which I don't give one hoot about. Alexander sees the growth and popularity of actual plays as the first step to growing diversity within the hobby. It's actually going to kill it, but go on, please. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any breakthrough show yet that has displayed the kind of diversity that I want to see. It's because nobody's been talented enough yet, or intriguing enough. It's not the audience's fault. You haven't put out people that have grabbed the general public. All right, and then we go on to talk about good old Cynthia, CEO of Wizards, talking about D&D being under-monetized. Then going on about the imaginative freedom is what gives minorities and marginalized people the opportunity to build worlds that center on their own stories on a community level. This creativity can be seen in the proliferation of homebrew games made by fans who customize the settings. Corporations and collective storytelling may sometimes be at odds, but a thing does not have to be perfect to be good, Lingar said. As a black woman and a queer, if I had to throw away every piece of fiction that did any of my identities dirty, I'd have nothing to do but sit quietly in a room. Well, maybe you should sit quietly in a room, Miss Lingar, and think about your silliness. So that is the article from PBS. As I said, they took a few shots at white suburbanites who, I guess, founded the game. And according to them, we're gatekeeping the game, which, look, if you're the only ones interested in something, you're not necessarily gatekeeping it. It's just, maybe you're just waiting for other people to be interested in it. And I think that's exactly what happened. And now that it is, it's fine, but you're also, some of the folks coming in are just trying to change what they liked about it in the first place. Does that make sense? No, it does not. So I will let you guys parse this out. Again, PBS. What do you say about PBS? It's garbage, and they are pretty irrelevant, but I did find this article amusing. So go ahead. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will be back maybe with a live stream tomorrow. I will let you guys know, though. So that's all for now. You guys take care, and we will talk soon. Goodbye.
What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi. Good night, everybody.